All right, in this explainer, we're diving into the 5 absolute unbreakable rules for servicing a final drive assembly. You know, getting these right isn't just good practice, it's the only way to do this job and save yourself from some really expensive headaches. So, let's get right to it. So let's just kick things off with a pretty serious question, because honestly, the stakes here are incredibly high. What's the real difference between a simple routine final drive service and a catastrophic failure that ends with a $3,000 repair bill? Believe it or not, the answer is often this simple and, yeah, this terrifying. 1. Wrong fluid. A single, simple mistake with one bottle can completely grenade the entire assembly. And that is why mastering these fundamentals isn't just a suggestion, it is absolutely essential. Okay, so our first major rule is all about what you need to know before you even think about picking up a wrench. This is all about knowing your hardware and, just as importantly, the fluids that keep that hardware alive. First things first, you have to know exactly what you're working on. Is it an old-school banjo-type axle housing, or maybe a self-contained unitized hub, a transaxle that combines everything? Or, and this is the one that gets people into trouble, is it a standard differential or a limited slip diff? They all have very different needs, and if you misidentify it at this stage, you're already on the fast track to failure. And this right here, this is probably the single most important decision you're going to make in this entire process: choosing the lubricant. For a standard diff, regular gear oil does the job just fine, but a limited slip differential, or an LSD, that is a whole different beast. It has clutch packs inside that absolutely require a special fluid with friction modifiers to work correctly. Putting the wrong stuff in an LSD isn't a tiny mistake. It is a recipe for total destruction. And look, I'm not just being dramatic here. The source material could not be more clear on this. Using the wrong fluid in an LSD, and I'm quoting here, may destroy the differential within a short operating period. That's a one-way ticket to a busted diff. All right, let's move on to our next core principle, which is all about responsibility. The second that drain plug comes out, you have a non-negotiable duty of care for your own safety and for the environment. And let's be super clear. This stuff isn't just old oil. Used gear oil is officially classified as a hazardous substance and a regulated waste product. That label really matters because it means there are strict legal rules for how you handle it, both to keep yourself safe and to stay on the right side of the law. The process is really simple, but it is mandatory. Number 1, you have to trap and capture every last drop of that fluid safely. 2, you've got to store it in a proper, sealed container. And 3, you have to dispose of it correctly through official recycling or waste channels. Just pouring it down a drain? That's not just wrong, it's an offense with some pretty serious penalties. Okay, so we know our parts, we've got the right fluid, and we know how to handle the waste properly. Now let's talk about the actual process, the steps that really separate a professional from an amateur. See, a professional service is way more than just a drain and fill. It's a diagnostic process. It all starts with a 3-point inspection. You're hunting for any leaks around the seals, gaskets, and breathers. You're looking for physical damage like cracks in the housing. And maybe most important of all, you're analyzing the old lubricant that you just drained out. So why bother looking at the old gunky fluid? Because it's telling you a story. Finding metal particles floating around in there is like finding a smoking gun. It's a huge red flag for internal wear, and it often shows up long before you'd ever hear a noise or feel a vibration. Catching this early is what prevents a total catastrophic failure down the road. Now, when it's time to refill, here's a classic rookie mistake you have to avoid: thinking more is better. It is definitely not. When you overfill the assembly, you create way too much internal pressure. That pressure has to go somewhere, right? So it just forces the lubricant right past the seals, creating brand new leaks. You literally end up causing the exact problem you were trying to prevent. And remember, the job isn't done just because you put the tools away. You have to test your work. A post-service road test is your final quality control check. You're making sure the assembly is running smoothly without any new noises, vibrations, or any signs of excessive heat. So let's bring this all together. Think of this as the professional's pre-work checklist, the 5 core principles that truly separate an expert from an amateur. Number 1, always identify the assembly type first. 2, select the exact correct lubricant, no guessing. 3, handle that waste oil safely and legally. 4, perform a thorough, systematic inspection. And 5, follow the correct fill and testing procedures to the letter. Get these 5 right and you'll get the job right.
every single time.
And that leaves us with one final thought. The next time you're faced with this job, ask yourself this question. Are you just swapping out fluids? Or are you applying your skill and knowledge to perform a truly professional service? Because as we've seen, the difference between those two, well, it's everything.